Hi, I'm Kaylee, and today I'm going to tell you about books that remind me of winter. So I've been doing this video series called Books Through the Seasons. I've already done summer and autumn, and now we're talking about winter books. I have a whole bunch of these ranging from classics to children's books, fantasy, adventure, a whole ton of genres and different age ranges, a little bit of something for everybody. All of these are books that I love, that I recommend for others to read. Every single one of these is 4 or 5 stars. So let's jump straight in with some books. The first one is The Cloister and the Hearth by Charles Reade. This is about someone who has joined the Catholic Church and they're kind of struggling to balance their human need for companionship and family, and also their very strict spiritual goals that they have. And they go through this spiritual journey trying to figure out what is it that God really wants from us. A lot of it, though, is set in the winter time, or just has kind of a cold and chilly kind of feeling to it, where you just want to huddle around the hearth fire. The next one is A Marble Woman, The Unknown Thrillers of Louisa May Alcott. Some of these are short stories, some of these are almost long enough to be like a novella, but a lot of people don't know that Louisa May Alcott, before she wrote Little Women, she wrote a lot of thrilling adventures with lots of betrayal and poison and and even sometimes some ghosts. So a lot of these are very cold and chilling. A lot of the characters are really cold as well, hence the title, A Marble Woman. Then I have Anne Bronte's Agnes Gray. Agnes is a poor governess and she's looked down on, but she sort of finds a way to earn some respect for herself and to create her own life. But for most of the book, the world is just very harsh and cold to a poor governess with no resources to fall back on. The next one is Dombey and Son, which also has several years in the storyline. But I think of it as being really wintry because one of the main characters, Mr. Dombey, is a very cold-hearted, just very hateful character. Poor Mr. Dombey, he loses the respect of everyone around him through all his cold-hearted behavior. The next one is The Laughing Cavalier by Emuska Orczy. This one actually is set in the winter in Holland, and there's a lot of snow on the ground, and they go ice skating and all kind of stuff. This is about a young lady who has been kidnapped, but she kind of wins over the heart of her kidnapper, and the Laughing Cavalier saves the day. The Golden Road by Ellen Montgomery is the second book in the Story Girl duology, so you would have to read the first book, The Story Girl, and then read The Golden Road. But as you can see from the cover, it is wintry. This is just such a wholesome and sweet story, these children growing up in the farm, and it's just adorable. This is one where you really want to get a cup of hot cocoa and snuggle up in a blanket and then read The Golden Road. The next one is pretty obvious. It's The Long Winter. I think this is the 6th book in the Laura Ingalls Little House on the Prairie books by Laura Ingalls Wilder. In this one, they are living in a town out on the prairie, and there is a very long winter. And through the entire book, it's just they're trying to survive through the winter. They don't have enough food. They're trying to help their neighbors and kind of band together just to be able to survive. Of course, I have to talk about Hans Brinker or The Silver Skates by Mary Mapes Dodge. This is another one that is set in Holland, and they spend half the book on ice skates. Hans is a very heroic and generous character, but of course his family are very poor. So he's very hardworking, and he tries to make a better life for his mother, for his sister, for his family. It's really inspiring and interesting and just good fun. The next one is actually set in the spring because there are these spring floods. I think there's some kind of flooding or something from the spring tides or whatever, but I always think of the winter. Maybe it's early spring, it's early spring, it's still cold out, and maybe that's why I think of the winter when I think of this one. This is actually a murder mystery from the Lord Peter Wimsey series by Dorothy Sayers. It's called The Nine Tailors because it centers around these bells, which some of the bells are called the tailors, I guess. There are these church bells that have to be rung in a very specific order in order to make the correct music, and there are only a few people in town who know how to work these church bells, and that is what our mystery centers around. I just love the whole Lord Peter Wimsey series. Every single mystery is amazing. The writing really grabs you. I just love Dorothy Sayers. And then, of course, I have to talk about The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. I mean, the entire world of Narnia is in a continuous 100 years winter, and it's only with the coming of Aslan that the snow finally starts to melt and it begins to be spring again. So the evil, wicked White Witch has kept everything under continuous winter and snow. I just love the entire Chronicles of Narnia. It's so imaginative and magical and beautiful. And then I have another murder mystery. It is Aunt Dimothy's Death, which is the first book in the Aunt Dimity series by Nancy Atherton. Aunt Dimity is actually a ghost, and her goddaughter, I guess it's her goddaughter Lori, has a sort of magical, supernatural journal where they can write back and forth to each other from the beyond. And Aunt Dimity, with her knowledge from the beyond, helps Lori to solve mysteries. It is completely stupid. It is the dorkiest thing I've ever read, and I love it. I guess it's that ghostliness that makes me think of winter. Like you just want to curl up by the fire and read a cozy mystery with a ghost. And then we have For Darkness Shows the Stars by Diana Peterfriend. This is a YA retelling of Jane Austen's Persuasion. It's about this woman that the man that she loves has left. He's gone off to sea and she doesn't know if she'll ever see him again. She's very lonely. Of course, you know, Persuasion is all about loneliness. So it has that very wintry, lonely kind of feel to it. I really love how the basic story structure of Persuasion is there, but it's retold in a completely different way, and it's so imaginative. The next one is The Giver by Lois Lowry. So this one does not start in the winter, but the very last scene is very iconic. It's in the winter, there's a lot of snow around, and it's just such a striking scene because of all that snow and this kind of like sledding in the mountains kind of stuff. So that's why The Giver makes me think of winter. I mean, the rest of the story is amazing, and it all kind of culminates in this one point, and like the scenery and the snow sparkling and everything. It's pretty amazing. The next one is The Darkening Rising by Susan Cooper. This is definitely wintry. It is winter through the entire book. I want to say it starts like a few weeks before Christmas or a few days before Christmas, and we get to see a lot of like the snow on the ground, and they go caroling and they go to a Christmas party. So the mood and the setting of it is kind of this harsh, cold winter. And then there is all this magic and ancient like fairy legends. There are a lot of myths and magical creatures and all kind of just amazing adventure on top of that. A Little Princess always makes me think of the winter because you think of little Sarah Crewe being so cold in her little rags. Oh, poor little Sarah. Frances Hodgson Burnett really knows how to set a scene, and you can really feel like how cold this child is and how harsh her reality is, that, you know, no one wants her anymore and no one loves her. And it just makes the reader want that happy ending even more. Just talking about it makes me want to go read A Little Princess. And then I have Winter Holiday, which is the fourth book in the Swallows and Amazon series by Arthur Ransom. And of course, it's about all these kids who are on their Christmas vacation and they go to visit the lake, and most of the lake is frozen over, and so they can skate across it, and they plan all sorts of excursions that they're gonna do and fun activities that they're gonna do during their holiday, but of course it all goes horribly wrong. What I really love about this book is how the characters have to be really resourceful to overcome the obstacles that are in their way. Then I have two books from the Willows spin-off series by William Harwood. I have The Willows in Winter and The Willows at Christmas. This is a continuation of Kenneth Grahame's Wind in the Willows with Badger and Rat and Mole and Toad and all of those beloved characters. I love these books so much because I love these characters, and I love how the writing style perfectly mimics the same classic writing style of Kenneth Grahame. And then I have Wildwood by Colin Malloy. This is about a girl who has to venture into the forbidden Wildwood in the middle of winter because her little brother has been kidnapped by by some kind of magical creatures in the wood. This one is full of that snow on the ground, wintry feeling. The next one is The Evil Wizard Smallbone by Delia Sherman. A young man becomes an apprentice to an evil wizard, but the wizard won't teach him any magic. So the poor apprentice just has to struggle along the best that he can. As he gets to know the wizard more, he realizes the wizard really isn't that evil after all. When I was a girl, I loved the American Girls Samantha series, and there are two that are set in the winter. There is Changes for Samantha, a winter story, and Samantha's Surprise, a Christmas story. Both of these are just adorable and have a lot of historical information about how people celebrated Christmas back in the Victorian era. I was completely fascinated with these stories when I was a little girl. And then I have 4 picture books that are very wintry and completely adorable. The Snoozapalooza is about animals who are preparing for their winter hibernation. One Wild Christmas is about 3 animals who all have different ideas and they have to learn to agree on how to celebrate Christmas together. Little Robin's Christmas is about a generous little Robin who gives away everything he has. And my favorite when I was a kid was Chicken Soup with Rice. This one definitely gives me a wintry feeling because you want to curl up with some nice warm soup when it's cold outside. And those are some of my favorite books and books that I recommend to others to read that give me a wintry feeling. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know what are some of your favorite winter themed books. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and remember, the right book in the right hands at the right time can change the world.